Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Everything is Possible. Today we have with us Meena.
Hey guys.
And we'll be talking about psychology, children of determination, and Meena's work in that area. So Meena, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Muscat, Oman, and I've lived my entire life there until I moved to Dubai 5 years back, and I did my uni. I did a bachelor's in psychology, and currently I'm working with a special need school, I would say, but technically with special need children.
So what drew you to this field? Like, what made you feel that you're interested in studying psychology and that you'd want to work with children of determination? What was your trajectory through this path?
So I've never wanted to do psychology, to be honest. I've always wanted to go into med school. Like, I used to grow up watching a lot of doctor surgery related, series, and it really, like, I was really into science and everything that would get me into med school. And I don't know, throughout the years, I realized how med school is really expensive and that I could never, it's just a lot of years of, studying and everything. And then I just set my mind on, okay, let me just do anything related to med school or, medicine or just anything in the hospital field, I would say. So I've always been interested in the way people think, because I've been a big time feeler. Because I get into a room, the first thing. Why are you guys laughing?
Feeler. You just said you don't cry.
Yeah, but I feel. I don't cry. Anyways, so I've always been a big time feeler, in sense of, like, if I get into a room, I sense how the room is, and that really affects me. And I'm just always thinking of, like, okay, what is this person thinking? What is that person? Why is he or she the way that they are? Mm-hmm. So I've always been fascinated by the way people have grown up, their atmosphere, their backgrounds, the way or the culture in which they've grown up, I would say. So in that way, I feel like psychology, how it dives into the human brain, the human mind, attitudes, your childhood, the way you've been brought up, everything just had a really huge interest in me, which was one of the reasons I settled for psychology. And again, working with children of determination was never in my plan. But in a place like Dubai, for you to sort of gain experience before getting into a master's program in psychology, this was one of the fields that you could sort of get into. And what I do currently is a part of psychology, which specializes with children of determination. And a small backstory, I've always had a heart for children with determination because I have a cousin sister. So she's my first cousin. She's 22 years old, and she has a condition called cerebral palsy, where she's paralyzed from the neck down. So she can't walk, she can't talk, but there is a lot. She finds so many different ways to communicate with us. So, like, she's one of the reasons the whole family's life has changed. So yeah, I've always found a way to connect with children with determination. So yeah.
So you would consider yourself as an empath?
I hope. I want to, but yeah, I do. I think, yes, I would come under the bracket of, like, feeling for the other person, which has also brought me a lot of trouble in life. But I choose to stay as an empathetic person.
Well,
yes,
that's a podcast for another day. But
let's not get into that.
You spoke about your cousin sister.
Yeah.
And would you say that, like, her condition and you growing up with it, having experienced it firsthand, a lot of people don't experience people of determination firsthand because they've seen it outside, they see other people with kids.
Yeah.
It's not very common for people to have people in their families that have that. So would you say that that was a defining moment for you, where you felt like, this is something that I could actually do. I could work in this field because I have experience, I have the love,
Right.
I am an empath, I understand the
I get you.
emotions, I can see what this kid does apart, even though this kid is not able to communicate verbally.
Yeah.
There's so many non-verbal ways to communicate, and for you to be able to understand that
Yeah.
and tap into it, would you say that that was probably a defining moment for you as you decided to take this step?
Yeah. So like throughout my life, I would say like when we get together as a family on holidays, I do, get to spend time with her and everything. But I've never really been able to do that as much as her parents spend time with her. So when I moved to Dubai, I would say was the time where I was able to spend proper 24/7. I was just at home, and it was a time during COVID. So every single day we were at home, and I could get to see a lot more closely the way she was being taken care by her parents and taken care by the people that, is surrounding her and everything. So I never thought this would be my cup of tea, because I felt like it's so much for me to handle. Like, I've seen how much her parents put in the time, like 22 years of marriage, 22 years of parenting. It's not something easy. So I thought, like, okay, I don't know if I could do this, because slowly, like I started to, take care of her, sometimes feed her. And I've never done anything like this with her before, because I never used to spend that much of one-on-one time with her. But throughout the years, and initially I've never really understood what she was trying to communicate. So she's trying to maybe tell me, like, Meena, I want some water. And she would be looking at her water bottle, but I'm like, I don't know how to help you. And that's when my aunt and uncle used to be like, oh, she's asking for water, or oh, she's showing that she's hungry. So it did take me quite a lot of time to understand and reciprocate to what she was communicating or what she was asking for. And it wasn't easy, I'll be honest, because I just felt like she was just being, like, I just couldn't relate to her, I would say. So, and when I decided, like, okay, once I finish with my bachelor's, this is the field that I'm gonna go and work in. Definitely the 5 years that I spent with her, or the 4 years that I spent with her, did sort of like motivate me to, like, okay, I can be with special need kids and I can handle them. And like, we do come across a lot of special need children at church. And just getting to know stories from their parents here and there, like, gives you a small gist of, like, okay, this is how it's going to be. And then I also was able to do a whole course in uni about this, and that again gave me an idea. So I would say it wasn't one moment, it was like a build-up of different moments that sort of like gave me the signal to, like, okay, Meena, you can go, or this could be your starting point, I would say, into your career and etc.
Yeah, that's honestly very heartwarming, because I feel a lot of times there's so many misconceptions around children of determination, especially around the culture that we've grown up in. People are not aware, and people consider being a person of determination, they look down on it, or they consider it as a burden. So as you worked in this field, what do you think are the common misconceptions that you have seen and experienced about children of determination?
Right. So I feel like for example, nowadays in a country like UAE, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other countries do follow this term, inclusive education. So they're trying to get special need kids into a classroom setting where, let's say, 95% of them are like normal school going kids, and maybe like 5% of them would be special need. And I'm just talking about like in a classroom, like the entire school, there's a lot more of kids that are special need. And I would say, like, now there are teachers who are trying to go above and beyond and step out of their comfort zone and try to get these kids involved in everything. But a misconception, I would say, is they are looked on as like, okay, maybe they won't be able to do it, or they won't be able to write that down, they won't be able to get involved in all sort of school activities. But I would say those are the misconceptions that I've seen, and I'm pretty sure that there would be a lot when you go into like a normal setting outside. But I feel like now this whole point of people of determination, children of determination, are being seen in a very positive light, because there is a cafe that's being run by kids of Down syndrome, and it's the most beautiful thing I've seen online. Like I've understood like that whole misconception is being broken down by different schools and different kids, because of how much they're able to put the effort. And because they don't know about their disability, I feel it's us that look at their disability. For them, it's not a disability. For them, it's just, this is who I am. But I'm gonna put my 100% into what you're asking me to. And they're just putting their 100% in. But yeah, I feel this could be this is a misconception that we can avoid, because I understand it might look like they do not have 100% of the capability like other normal kids, but at the same time, with what they have, they're able to do the best at what they are called to do.
I think UAE has done a very good job as well
100%.
at inclusivity. From maybe the last 10 years to now, they've really put a strong foot forward in terms of inclusivity, even in terms of like making places wheelchair accessible, all of these things, which is not very common in other countries. UAE has really put in the resources to fund that. And like you said, creating that awareness around disability and having people understand that this is not something that you look at as a negative thing, but rather if you work with them, they can actually end up being such great assets to your society. Because I went for this one event once where there's this person who is from our church, and she has a kid who has autism. He's on the spectrum. And over there I met this mom who basically had a kid, and he, I think, got kicked out of 4 or 5 schools because he was on the spectrum. And until his mom finally realized that, oh, he is actually on the spectrum, and she started, she quit her job and she started working with him one-on-one. And I had the opportunity to meet that kid, and I kid you not, you would probably not figure out that he's on the spectrum. He is so I feel like he was very well mingling with all his peers. And for me, that is the product of an aware environment.
So true.
If it was an unaware environment, he would probably have been suffering and constantly just being belittled because he's different from others. But rather, his difference was embraced, because each of us are different. I mean, even though we might not be on the spectrum, we all have our flaws, we all have our positives, our negatives, things we're good at, things we're not good at. And I think as normal abled people, when we look at ourselves, we're like, I can work on my strengths and then, make that okay with my weaknesses. And I think it's the same with children of determination or people of determination, rather, that we look at their strengths rather than focusing on their weaknesses. And in turn work towards, becoming an inclusive and a society that works hand in hand. But that was really insightful, Meena. And I want to ask you, what does your typical day look like at work?
So at work, I start work at 7 in the morning. And so it's normal school hours. So I work normal school hours, and then so I have this one kid that I'm an LSA, or a learning support assistant, also known as a shadow teacher too. And I'm with her full one-on-one. So it's just as a shadow teacher, I just try to I try to understand what's being taught in class in the different subjects or lessons, and I sort of break it down into smaller tasks for her. So it wouldn't be the same, what's that word? Okay, anyways, it's not the same thinking capacity as the other kids, where she needs to do her work. It's more simplified, I would say. So let's say if the class is doing addition or maths, I would give her something where she just needs to count and write the numbers. So it's sort of for her to understand, okay, there's a lesson called maths, it's involving numbers, and at the same time she also feels included with her peers. And yeah, so I'm just like a teacher within a classroom for just one kid. And then I head back to the center, the autism center that I technically work with, and I prepare materials for the kid that I'm assigned, and then head back home and prepare for the next day. So it's to be honest with you, it's a very monotonous job. Like it's not something like, okay, Monday is different from Tuesday. My Monday, it's like every day is like a Monday to be fair.
It's the same.
It's the same schedule, the same routine, the same tasks, everything that has to be done is the same. But yeah, I would say that that's my typical day at work. But yeah.
Okay. So your job, 100% working with kids who have like the kids of determination, it sometimes can take a toll on your emotional well-being because you really have to be patient with them.
Yeah.
You can't lose your head. You need to work through your emotions, self-regulate on a constant basis.
Right.
So how do you manage to, keep that balance, especially, and we're human. We have tough days as well,
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
that every day you walk into work and you're like, I'm ready to do this.
Yeah.
There might be days where you're really struggling
Yeah.
yourself, and you have to still be there for that kid. Because again, it's not a kid who is on a thinking capacity as all
Yeah,
other kids. It's a
exactly.
kid with a different capacity
Yeah.
where you really have to be there for them and help them out. So how do you work around that?
The work culture, you're working with like people, like you're into a full-time job, and how like everyone's not the same. You sort of need to like have that balance with everyone. So getting adjusted to a work culture, I had to make space in my head for that. So it did take time. I think the first 3 to 6 months were hard, and I'm not gonna lie, but the more I started taking things one at a time, started telling myself like, let's not do this from a place of like, oh shit, I have to wake up in the morning tomorrow, but more of like thanking God, like I have a job, thanking God of like I get to get up and go to work. It might not be the best day, I might not be having the best day, but just like waking up and just starting my day with gratitude really helped me. Like and also like I was able to voice my struggles with the people that I'm close to, like, hey, not having a great time at work, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing what I have to. So again, like a lot of support from family, definitely, and people that I'm close to, like friends, really did help me sort of like, get my head straight and like, okay, this is what I have. I mean, you just like, I feel like people our age have this whole concept of like adulting. Oh my gosh, like again, that gave me this like, am I growing old? Am I becoming an adult? Like there's so much of responsibilities that come with it. So, and then slowly I just like started making time for things, even if I didn't have a lot of time left. So it was like I used to gym even after work, and I just tried to make time for gym. I don't gym anymore, but when I used to, I'm just taking a break now. Don't know how long that break is gonna go, but I just made time. Like even if I had to meet friends after work, I did it on a weekday no matter what, and compensated my sleep for the weekend, because I used to try and stay at home during the weekend. So it was a lot of like stepping out of my comfort zone, and then be like, you know what, Meena, it's okay. Let's just take it one day at a time. But yeah, it was a lot of it. It was a lot of like, it did take a lot of time. I'm not gonna say it was easy. It was definitely hard, but yeah, I'm at a much better place now, I would say, emotionally. Yeah, and I'm just taking it one day at a time, every single day.
So as you go through these things on a daily basis,
Yeah.
how do you integrate this into your work life? So you're having a difficult day, but you still
Yeah.
have to show up and be there for that kid
Yeah.
in the capacity that he or she needs. So how do you ensure that I am going to be showing up at exactly the capacity that this kid needs me to show up in?
So every day, it's definitely showing up, because first of all, kids of determination, they don't know. It's very hard for them to communicate. So they cannot ask. Sometimes they're not able to ask for what they want, and you on the receiver's side, you don't know what they're asking for. So there's that clash that comes with it. And I've understood that every day for me might be the same, but for them it's not. So they wake up one day feeling super happy and they're like, oh, I'm so excited. Another day they might be in their worst mood ever. Because first of all, everything around them frustrates them, because like no one's understanding them. Sometimes they're like for example, like girls and boys, they go through so many changes during their puberty phases and all of that, and these kids have that too. But for us, we were able to voice it. For them, it's very hard. Like they're gonna think like, what's happening to me? I have no idea. But they have to sort of like stay sane, I feel, and they try their best to. So I'm just like on this alert every single day, because I cannot expect yesterday, or I cannot expect tomorrow to be the same like yesterday. So I used to sit and just take myself to like prepare, sort of like wind down every day before school or before I start work, so that I'm able to take in whatever, I mean, just take in this person as they are, as they come to school every day. So it was how do like in to ensure that I'm with the kid, or I'm giving my 100% to the kid, I made sure I took time for myself to sort of start positive every single morning. Like I just used like something that I really make sure I do before starting work is I just have worship music on my way to work, and that sort of like helps me wind down. And yeah, that it's just sort of starting slow, because for us, I mean, for these kids like this, it's very hard for them. Like as soon as they walk into class, you hand them, okay, let's get started. Like this is your task for the day. It's very hard for them. Like they're like, I just came to school. Like give me some time. Like that's how their mind sort of functions, you know. So I feel the more I started going to school with this kid, and the more I started building rapport with this kid, I was able to sort of understand what I need to be prepared for every single day, what I shouldn't do at the morning every single day when I meet the kid. So yeah, I think, I don't know if I answered your question.
No, that made sense. So essentially, it's practicing gratitude on a daily
Exactly.
basis.
Exactly.
And I think that applies to most of us in general,
Yeah.
because we have our day-to-day jobs, we have our stress. But it's like if we just choose to take it one day at a time, choose to practice gratitude,
Yeah.
and just take it slow. Because I feel like we're just so used to this hustle culture and just getting things like this, like this, like this.
Yep.
And working with kids of determination, working with
Yeah.
people of determination makes you realize that life is not like this, It's every routine that you have doesn't necessarily have to be that. Like
Exactly.
they teach you that it's
Exactly.
okay to have indifferent every day. They teach you that it's okay to be different, it's okay to think different,
Yeah.
it's okay to act different,
Yeah.
and yet be integrated into society completely
So
normally.
True. So true.
So that is really nice,
Yeah.
like you're practicing gratitude on a daily basis. And with like working with these kids, so now you're a teacher,
Yeah.
an LSA basically.
Yeah.
You're not just working with these kids, you're also working with their families, because their
Yeah.
families
Yeah,
are
sorry.
entrusting them into your hands and saying that, hey, this is my kid and I trust you enough to
Yeah.
manage my child, to help my child really integrate into society,
Yeah.
So how do you manage expectations of family, expectations of the institute? How is that something that you manage apart from just the kid and their expectations, even the expectations of the family? How is that something that you navigate through?
Right. So it's like I'm taking care of a baby. Like, this is my kid. I feel every day like I'm like, oh, I have a kid to take care of. But thankfully, the parents that I work with, they're very open-minded, I would say, like, especially from the culture that they come from. It's not quite natural for them to be that open-minded, but these people, they're just ready to do anything and everything for their daughter, and that's probably one of the most sweetest things that I get to see in these parents, that they're always like, okay, what do I do? What do you need from me? How do I help? How can I help? That sort of an attitude, and that really puts you into ease, because like you could ask these parents for any sort of help, and that really sort of gives you a push to like encourage the kid to sort of fit into that expectation that the parents have for them. And these parents, they know, like, I understand my kid is of determination, and they don't want to like, and at the end of the day, there are certain parents, sadly, that do not want to accept their kids. They are a bit different from other kids, and that really takes a toll on the teachers that are working with them, on the kid especially, and it brings a lot of bad effect on the kid, I would say. But it makes it a lot easier when parents are aware, they know, and they don't see it as a deficit or like a disease in their kid. They just see their kid in a different light, and every small step and every word that comes out of the kid is like the biggest celebration for the parents. So I've able to sort of navigate that with the kid in the most easiest way, thankfully, again. And yeah, I think it's just being open with each other has really helped me. Like, I'm trying to be there for the parents, for the kid at school. The parents are trying to be there for me. The center that I work with, the institute that I work with, they are trying to be there for me. So it's sort of like a team with three sides working together for one kid. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's been rewarding, but yeah.
It's about working hand in hand, essentially.
Exactly.
With the institution, with you, the kid, and ensuring that everyone's on the same level in terms of transparency and everything.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So working with these kids,
Yeah.
these differently abled, absolutely talented kids, how can you say that it has changed your perspective on life for you as an individual? Working with these kids, how has that changed or shifted the way you view life?
So like I mentioned earlier, I do have a cousin sister who is special need, and just being with her, I feel like, number one, it's really built my patience. It's really helped me sort of understand her, and it's brought me into this thought of like how silence is louder than words, and how sometimes not everything needs to be spoken out, and you can just, as you spend time with such kids, kids of determination, the more you spend time, there's this level of trust that you build with this person. And sometimes it's not like the kid that I work with, for example, she's not verbal about everything, but I feel like I'm able to understand her, I'm able to relate with her, and that's helped me sort of be there for her even when she doesn't have a good day. So it's just, for me personally, like these kids, like for example, my cousin sister, she wakes up every single day, every morning with a smile on her face, and she's not able to do even half of the things everyone else at home is able to do, but she still wakes up with a smile on her face. The kid that I go to school with, there's a lot of other things that comes with the condition that she has. So she is on the autism spectrum, but there's a lot of other health related stuff that she goes through, but she still makes sure she wakes up at 7 in the morning, comes to school at 9 a.m. Like she has this routine that she follows, and it's made me understand, or it's made me think that if they could do it, we could give our full in a lot of other days where we don't feel like it. Like, I mean, just like for me, I have these 2 legs to walk. I have a mind to communicate what I need. I have this, ability to speak and let the people know what I need. But sometimes when I'm having a bad day, I do take it out on my circumstances. But just working with these kids and spending time with these kids has made me understand, like, maybe I could just take it slow. Maybe I could just, keep myself quiet, sort of process it by myself, and then give my 100% every single day, no matter how much it's wearing me down, no matter how much it's affecting me mentally, emotionally. But maybe giving your 100% is gonna like absolutely yield a result that's gonna help you and the people around you. So, and I'm learning every day. Every day is a journey. Every day is it is a journey, and I'm just like taking that journey every single day.
I think that's where gratitude, like we spoke about before, comes into play. And you
100%.
mentioning that, you know, these kids every day just waking up with a smile on their face. And honestly, in my experience, seeing kids like this, I feel like the world looks down on them.
Yeah.
But I think like what's wrong is with the world, with our perspective.
Exactly.
You know, there's nothing wrong with the kid.
So true.
It's always the way we see it. And the day we learn to fix our perspective, the day we learn to fix our mindset on these kids, is the day that these kids are truly gonna like become assets, like I mentioned. We just need to give them that opportunity to, you know, become that asset. They deserve equal opportunities as people who are not on the spectrum. They deserve equal opportunities in all fields, wherever they can excel in. So here's to embracing diversity, inclusivity, and learning more about people of determination, educating ourselves on it as much as we can, even if we don't have first-hand experiences with kids or people of determination. Really making ourselves aware about these things help us deal with it and, like, you know, behave in these kind of situations as people who are inclusive and people who are loving and people who are accepting, rather than judgmental or like a perspective of limiting these people. So thank you so much, Meena, for, you know, really sharing these insightful views on working with kids of determination. I think it's really opened my eyes even more than what I already knew. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Hey everyone, don't forget to like, follow, share and subscribe to both my Instagram and YouTube of Everything is Possible. See you all on the next episode.